Hello, beautiful people. I'm Naomi,
And I'm Nia.
and this is Gatinhas, a podcast where two sisters from different generations are living, laughing, and loving each other on the mic. We will be diving into our different perspectives on shared memories, family lore, and how it all informs the way we move through the world.
Exactly. So, first, we're just going to introduce ourselves and give a quick bio so you guys know who you're watching and listening to.
But actually, before that, we should probably tell people what gatinhas
Oh,
means. For
right.
people who don't know, I
Right.
guess that could be helpful.
Right.
So, gata in Portuguese is cat. And when you say, oh, gata, gatinha, that's like, ooh, hottie, baddie. So we thought,
Daddy.
what better name
Exactly.
to embrace our Brazilian roots? So that's gatinhas.
Gatinhas.
Okay.
So,
I
yeah,
guess
let's
I
just
should
introduce
introduce myself. This
ourselves.
was
You
so
go first.
first day of school.
It does feel kind of awkward. But
Okay. I am the quintessential eldest daughter. I've always been wound up really tight. Um, and I think that that showed in just like the dynamics when we were younger. It really influenced some of the choices that I made, especially professionally, and just I feel like I've lived a pretty well up until recent years where I've freed myself from the shackles of what I thought my life needed to be. But before that, it was kind of just like, you know, check all those boxes on paper, do all the things you quote unquote should do, and everything's supposed to be great. But I'd say I was probably the least fulfilled I ever was in my life when I had that stability. There was always something missing. I was always making questionable choices, almost to self sabotage just to feel something because I was so uninspired in my day to
yeah.
day. But the interesting thing is that, like, I've loved the industry that I've spent the majority of my career in, which has been real estate. So that's been a plus. But just in terms of, like, am I fulfilled? Like, what is the goal, that 5 year plan or whatever? Like, what am I seeking? And
Right.
it never really just like felt right. So I'd say in the last year and a half, longer, personally and professionally, I've had this space to explore like what makes me happy, what I enjoy, tap into creativity, writing, and just like enjoying life for once. And I love it. And I'm very thankful. And I'm excited to take all my yapping to the
To the
masses, I guess.
stars, to the
Yes.
moon.
Is that
That's a
accurate?
good
Was that
one.
too
So
boring?
basically, oldest daughter,
Yeah, of
had
three,
to
I
do
guess we could say that.
everything. Oh yeah, we have a brother.
He's a middle child, if you can
So
imagine.
had to do everything by the book and be a good example. And you were just burnt out.
I guess so.
Now you're living your truth.
Now I'm free and happy.
And yeah,
It's beautiful.
so that's that.
That's me. Okay.
So we're so different. I'm just really an artist through and through. I've always lived a very artsy lifestyle. I've always been in between jobs, which, because I hate every job. I don't hate every single job. Like, I got into the cannabis industry and I really liked that, but it's not quite my passion, so it didn't really last. I'm still into it, but, just kind of in between jobs. And I do a lot of things. I'm a painter, videographer. I like to edit. I like clothes, like anything artsy, I'm into. I want to make movies. That's like the ultimate goal. And I just feel like I'm in a place where I need to really lock in and make money off of my talent.
That's beautiful. And
So
I feel
that's where
like
I'm at.
I've said that you're like a Bob Ross meets Spike Lee.
And I love that.
And future generations will be saying your name.
Nia.
Yeah. My name is Lights.
Nia.
Taina for the real ones. Wow, what a show.
Oh, wow. Throwback.
Like, bring back intro songs.
We should have an intro song.
I know, like just like all the 90s Cousin Skeeter. We're getting way off.
That's so
I'm sorry.
old.
But it's so good.
Maybe we should start with somebody did ask this, what is the age gap between
Oh,
us?
right.
Because
I think that's
basically
helpful.
we're talking about our different perspectives. So I'm 26,
And I'm 34.
so we're 8 years. But the
Feels like a
cool thing
lifetime.
is, we're like 3 years in between siblings, always, right?
Well, Noah is 4 years younger than me. Noah's 30. Noah's
Oh.
our brother.
I
mean-
thought, okay, I don't know. I thought it was, I don't know. I thought it was always 3 years in between.
Not quite, but I guess the gap isn't that huge for him. It's like nice.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that is our age gap. I am like a millennial, slap it on my forehead. I think 1990 was the best year to be born. I'm biased. I thought Nia was the youngest millennial. I've been telling everyone, like, oh, she's a millennial Gen Z cusp.
Yeah.
And then the other night, one of my friends was like, no, she's Gen Z. But I feel like they only recently changed that.
I never knew about it.
98. So you just
I
always...
never knew about any of it. I thought I was whatever anyone said. Like, I don't even care.
What do you feel more connected to?
I feel connected to both because I have older siblings, but also, yes, I had a phone since I was 8 years old. I'm not gonna lie.
should not.
I know about
You should not
technology, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So that's our age gap.
That's our intro.
Our difference, 8 years.
8 years.
And I guess we could talk
About,
the family dynamic.
we have to get into our lore.
Yeah, there's
Like,
a lot.
we have to get into it because, and if you need to understand me, you have to understand my family. Or if you want to understand me, to understand where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Why don't you describe the household from your perspective?
So from my perspective, we have a single mother. Our fathers aren't, well, we'll get into that, but we have a single mother, 2 older siblings. Noah and I are very similar in our demeanor. We're chill, we're artsy, we're like kind of just doing our thing. We don't really talk much. And then there's Naomi and our mother, very neurotic, chaotic,
Wow.
crazy, loud, boisterous, fun, but like a lot to be around. A lot. Not in a bad way, but just, it was a lot.
Interesting. So for me, thank you for that. Boisterous was a word that was used to describe me a lot when I was younger. Fine. I'll take that. For me, I mean, I guess we lead with similar characteristics, like me and mommy,
Yeah.
mommy and me. I'm sorry, I have to call her mommy. Like, I can't.
like it's
I actually used to get
copy-paste.
in trouble for saying mom. She'd be like, you're not like those white kids on TV. Like,
Yeah.
I am mommy. And like now it's just like, I just call her mom. Like, I would never say my mom. Like,
Never.
it feels wrong. Or if I say my mom, know that I'm not being true to myself.
It feels disrespectful to say mom. I used to feel like, oh my, just bad word.
Like, it's not okay. Yeah, it's like worse than. But anyway, I digress. But like, and I say this with love and all positivity. We love our mother. We are so close. We are similar in a lot of ways, but I'd say she's definitely more of a free spirit than I am. Or even like I was more a neurotic, if you can imagine, when I was younger. Like I was babysitting at like 8, 10, changing diapers since I was 4. Like I was the babysitter that everyone dreaded having. But to me, I'm like, well, I have to keep these kids alive and I'm a kid myself. Like it was,
Right.
and I don't know if we want to go into, I guess it's jumping a little bit, but I guess it kind of bleeds into like when I was growing up at that age that I was when you and Noah were like preschool, like all of that, I was very aware of like what was going on,
Yeah.
money, like responsibilities and things in a way that I don't think necessarily you and Noah had to deal with.
I think I was always aware of it, but like you said, I didn't have to deal with it. It was just
Yeah.
my reality.
Yeah.
Like I remember always being aware that, okay, we don't have a lot of money, but
But it's like
I
I'm
mean,
at
it
the
is what it
register with the
is. Yeah,
20
you're
and
the one that
deciding like,
has to
okay,
like
well, what are we
do.
putting back based
Yeah.
on the list? And
Yeah.
like pushing the cart. And people
She
thought I was their
also,
mom, which is
yeah, you've always
insane.
looked older,
Yeah.
tall, very tall. So I think that plays a part too into like the
Yeah.
responsibility.
That's true.
Like you look like an old 12-year-old.
I did. I've
So it's
always looked the
okay.
same. Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I've been the same size for most of my life.
But
Um,
um
I guess should we go into the
it
male
plays into the
contributor before we hit Bavampa, just to explain
okay.
the difference
Yeah.
in stature?
Okay.
Because like you and Noah look like you could be
Yes.
twins, even though you're four
No,
years
I don't
apart.
think
When you
so.
were younger, we'll have to show photos at some point.
Yeah, we'll have photos on our Instagram.
Yes, but I think that's part of it. Like yes, we all look alike when we're all together. Thank goodness our mother has very strong genes. But I say sperm donor because I would never use the word father. But my sperm donor wasn't really in my life. Um, he wasn't officially that capacity, but that's how I refer to him. Met him once when I was 6. No relationship past 9. Like it was a very brief non-factor. Our grandparents really did help raise us, and my grandfather and grandmother are both immigrants. Grandfather from Liberia, and Vava, like our grandmother, she was from Brazil. And so we were raised by
By
immigrants, and like
immigrants.
he was the father figure to me. So that helped for sure. But just in terms of like, I'd say growing and like our size, maybe that's where the contrast was much more stark when we were younger, I
So
guess.
your sperm donor is probably taller.
Correct. I would
Is
imagine he's
basically
taller
what you're
and might be
trying
a
to
little
say.
lanky. And yeah, Noah and Nia share their sperm donor, and he's
Sperm donor. I don't know why
male
I say
contributor.
like father, even though he wasn't in my life,
That's
really.
fair.
Just because I feel like it's easier.
That's respectful. And he was like, I even spent summers.
It's a weird dynamic. So basically, Noah and I have the same father who was in a pretty poppin' 90s hip hop band, which you probably know, but we're not gonna drop too much of the lore. But yeah, so he was in that band, and it's like we knew him, and at one point Noah lived with him for some years, but he wasn't consistently in our lives up until now. That makes sense.
Right.
I'm in contact with him and we're cool. I don't harbor like hatred, but it's like, you're not my dad. Like,
You're not my
you're
dad.
not my dad.
And he like was not my dad. And
Literally not your
the
dad.
years that Noah lived with him, again, it was one of those arguments like, well, like a man needs to be raised by a man, and
Right.
all of that fun stuff. LOL, because obviously that didn't last, which my mother ended up swooping in when she needed to,
She
and
needed to.
thankfully Noah moved to Alexandria, where we spent most of our formative years.
So he was in Atlanta
Yeah,
with
so it
him.
was Atlanta. So we would spend, there were like maybe what, 2 or 3 summers, 1 or 2, I don't know, where we
We
would
went to
go
visit.
for like a week or two. And it was fun. I feel like, I don't know, well, there was a Chick-fil-A at Landmark Mall, RIP Landmark Mall, but I just have vivid memories of eating Chick-fil-A in the studio. So like his
Okay.
ex-wife, their stepmom, I guess mine too in a way, but she was like in the music industry also. And so I just have memories of like
Eating
eating
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A and like looking at like the albums or like the framed, like, oh, this artist, this artist. And just seeing these like sprawling, McMansions, or were they actually mansions? I don't even know like the scale. But it
Well,
was very
Atlanta
different.
has like just big homes in
Big
general.
homes. Um, so it was fun, but I feel like for me, again, like I was a tween at that point. It was like 11, 12, peak B2K, like that era. And the summer, like those moments were always fine. They were nice, I guess. And of course, it was amazing to see Noah when he wasn't with us. But I feel like my memories of the difference when it came to like dinner time or snacking, and it was a very like, oh, the adults, like they're grilling steaks, whatever, and we're having like some insert kid food kind of thing, which felt so
Bizarre.
different from like how like we're raised in our home with like we're helping to prepare the meal, we're all having the same thing, there's no like separate thing
But
for
that's
the
very
kids.
common in a lot of families. Like you get the kiddie meal and I'm eating lobster,
It's so
which is
weird.
really weird because we were always introduced to grown up. I mean, is it even grown up or is it just food?
I think the cultural thing, right? Just like
Cultural thing.
food. It wasn't like we were having
A
I
feast, but
can't
it's
explain
just
it.
like, and that's, I think that's just a foreign thing. Like, you want to introduce the culture to your kids. So
Right. It
if
was,
I'm eating,
yeah, it was such a contrast because it's like we, especially at that time, lived in such close quarters with my grandparents, but it always felt like there was more than enough. We were very open, inviting
yeah,
friends, we're all gathering. And there it was like, okay, I see the like financial stability and like wealth, even if you will, but it felt like there was like that was maybe my introduction to scarcity mindset in a way that was so strange to me because I was so confused. I'm like, you have all this stuff, all this space, all the, and it's like these restrictive,
all
it
these
just
boundaries surrounding
vibes
it,
were
which is weird.
anyway.
But yeah, I think we should probably say I have a memory of living with my grandparents up until high school. Like, I lived with Bubba,
Right.
with mommy, but I'm a grandparent kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And Baba, what's interesting, I guess, too, with us, like you had a special bond with Baba and I had a
We were
special
like
bond with
this.
Pa.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But just the whole like boundary, non-boundary thing, I think it's one of those like it's a blessing and a curse, especially with our dynamic with our mother, who again, love. But it was very like, oh, we're best friends. Especially
Besties
like me, like because I felt like it was like us
first.
almost raising Noah and Nia in a way. So I think it's like a good and bad thing. Like I see the benefits, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I losing the
We
plot
were
here?
always, well, with our mother, we're always best friends. Like, I remember coming home from school and her literally being like, "What's the gossip? What happened? What's the tea?" So I'm telling her everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I have this boy that I like. Me and this girl are fighting. Like, she knew everything. But I mean, and it's a good thing. But there
Yeah.
were no
She
boundaries.
was
We
very
knew all her
involved.
tea with her
Yes.
relationships.
Yes.
There were no secrets in our house. We couldn't really close the doors. We could close the doors,
I guess
but
we
couldn't
could, but
lock the door.
there wasn't necessarily privacy, I guess. But
No.
not that there really needed to be. Also, if you hear sounds, it's New York City living, so I hear them.
No, yeah, privacy wasn't a thing, but it didn't feel like we didn't have any, if that makes sense.
Right, because it was kind of like, well, what is there to
It was just
hide?
like we don't need it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the family dynamic. But we should probably get a little bit into our grandparents and
Yes.
Pa and Baba. That's what we called them.
Yes, Baba and Pa. They met. There was definitely an age gap there, and I wish I knew the exact years, but I want to go ahead and say between 15 and 20. I think he was 15 to 20
Years?
years for senior. But there was a period in 97, I believe, where we found out Bubba's real age because of like
Oh.
something that happened and everyone realized she'd been lying by
About her
like 8 years
age?
or something. Yes. But
What?
that's like
I didn't
for
know
another
that.
time. But that, so now I'm like, I don't know what's what in terms of their actual age gap. Yes. But
Okay.
I guess that was the era still of like, your lady never tells her
Lady
true
never.
age. And she
Yeah.
looked amazing. Again, thank goodness for like those genes. Um, but they met at a Baptist convention in Rio. She was from a tiny town in Brazil, Itarana.
Bahia.
Yes.
Shout out.
And she was engaged at the time that she met Pa. And she was engaged to someone that she went to law school with. And she was one of the first women to like graduate from this law school. And of course, he was a Brazilian man. Like it all made sense. And then there was this African dignitary that was in love with her. And she barely spoke any English. But
It was attracting.
yeah, love won. She took a risk.
It's funny too. This is a little bit of a side note, but Baba always used to be like, I was the first girl to wear pants in my town. Do you remember that?
Yeah, like she was always
She was a
breaking.
trendsetter.
Yeah.
And she always had a love. That might be a thing with Thomas women.
Like pushing boundaries.
Pushing boundaries, but also just always having like a love interest.
Oh, for sure.
Like, oh, all these engagements.
She was
Our
engaged
mother has
before the guy that
had,
she left for Pa, too.
yeah, like our mother has had several engagements.
Somewhere our uncle had to like break them off because she was like, I can't be bothered. I'm on to the next.
Like that's kind of the lore.
That's part of it. And that was just like normal. It's like, oh yeah, you're a beautiful woman. Everyone should be
Everyone's
clamoring to
pining for
marry
you.
you.
Yeah.
Like so there was one Liberian man. There were
Oh, wait.
I won't say the name
Yeah.
obviously, but the ring, it was like I think a carat. It was it was a nice ring, but again, my mother, she's lived many lives, which we can get into some other time, but she was meh on the ring, and when the engagement broke off, she's like, Naomi, you can wear it to school. So I remember in high school like wearing like this, and the prong was so high and like poking things and like just wearing
Oh
this
my
random engagement diamond
goodness.
ring to school because like I could. Like that's not,
What?
is that normal?
That's not normal. But anyway,
Anyway, just one thing.
so they meet in Rio.
Oh my gosh, yes, sorry. And then so he was a diplomat. He was ambassador to Liberia. So my mom, so my
Or
there's four kids, three daughters, and one son who's the youngest, and my mother is the youngest daughter. And they lived all over the world before they settled in New York. Like they would come to New York here and there. Like she was born in New York. I think we're all of them born in New York except for my uncle was born in Geneva. Was that right?
yeah, I think so.
And their last station, if you will, was in New Rochelle.
Because Paul worked for the United Nations, or no, something like that.
He was like a consulate, something. And by the way, feel free to drag us because we should know. I know he was ambassador at one point.
He was the ambassador,
when
but
he was
also Liberia, if you know the history, very tumultuous, very many coups,
corruption, like our
war.
cousin, one of our cousins, like our second cousin, who also helped raise me, she moved to the States in high school because of the coup and like her father being assassinated. It was like,
It got real.
yeah.
So
Wow. How do we? Oh, but
it's tough because I feel like if he maybe was ambassador of another country, would we be wealthy?
well,
Question
yeah,
mark. I don't know.
probably because yeah, there's even now there aren't many resources. It's not a destination by any means. You have to bribe your way even off the plane. I've never been. We have like family members who have gone many times, but like it's just never been something that I've been up for yet.
I want to go, yeah.
At some point, but like
It's gonna be like a thing, a process.
but yeah, it's like they have this big beautiful home and like maybe the electricity's off for a bit or so it's kind of an interesting like
Is it home rich?
through line. Yeah.
They
Or
were
is it
home
or is it house poor if
house
all your money's tied
poor.
up in a house?
Something like that. Like they have a home in New Rochelle. They had a home in New Rochelle. Our
Right.
grandparents.
But in
And
terms of anything else.
that was kind of it.
But then like Pa was very involved in the church. Papa worked at a bank in the city at one point.
At one point, Paul worked at a jail. He was, which I just found out about this. He was the jail pastor,
But he
but he
wouldn't
wasn't
necessarily
really
always
doing any
do.
work. He would like come in and say that he was working and leave.
Yeah.
So
He really, especially like 60s, 70s, like he,
a real character.
yeah, just kind of did his own thing and used his title and his role to get away with it, which is really
Pretty
beautiful.
much.
But I'd say like we moved around a lot. Like I definitely did. I feel like it was like Atlanta here, Charlotte there, then New York, okay, the city, and then we landed in Alexandria when it was a summer before going into fourth grade. And at that point, my grandparents moved because Pa's brother, a great uncle, he was like very ill, ended up passing shortly after we were there. But that was the motivation to go to Alexandria. And it was one of those fun things where like I'm excited to get back to my class in third grade and all of that and know who's going to be in it. And then we find out, oh, we're staying. So I definitely had to learn to adapt and like
Quickly.
make friends and make things work all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that Alexandria was our landing spot, and that's the place where we overlapped the longest, like under one roof.
I think I was like 1 or 2 when I
You
came.
were 2 or 3, because you were. I
was
remember you
born
broke
in
your
New
arm.
York.
Like
Broke
the
my
first
arm.
fall or
So
something.
I think I don't know. I don't really remember it when I was 1 or 2.
Wait, so no. Wait, okay,
But I
we
was
could do
born
this.
in New
If
York.
I was entering fourth grade, that would have been 99. Yeah, so you're about two.
2. Moved to Alexandria. Lived there until I was 15.
Wow.
So we stayed there together the longest. And our experience, let's get into it. It was
Yeah.
cool. Honestly, I
love the
love the
DMV.
DMV.
Yep.
I'm such a DMV girl to this day. I live in DC, so
I
I
love
love
the
it.
DMV. I love Old Town. I love the Metro. I love just, it's a beautiful place to raise a family. Um, and the proximity to DC, like we went to the Smithsonian all the time, the National Gallery of
15
Art.
minute drive.
We went to the Holocaust Museum a lot. My mother is very into World War II. And like, it's like a new exhibit this. And it was very like,
Wait, I feel like you need to explain because
what?
that sounds so weird.
No, well, I guess I'll just say, I mean, people have fascination with the world, but it's like, it was just one of those cultural, it's like, especially if we were struggling or whatever the case is, like, she was very like, her way of being like, oh, you want to know what
The real
suffering is?
struggle.
Let's take a drive. Because the Smithsonian's free. So it's like, what are you going to do with your kids if
And I
they're
can
not?
only imagine if the African American Museum was open
Yeah, it
back
wasn't open
then,
yet.
we would have been hitting both of them for a real
She's very
struggle.
that. It's like, oh, we're watching Amistad. Like, we're getting
Yeah.
that from Blockbuster. Okay, so let's get into Blockbuster.
So let's get it. Okay, yeah. We didn't, basically, to sum it up, we weren't raised with money. We don't come from money, but like, okay, our grandparents were culturally wealthy,
Yeah,
we could say.
we've been culturally rich and had proximity to privilege in that way. But again, and it of course is all relative, but it is a tough thing to place when you talk about like places we've traveled when we were younger or like things that we've done. And there were ebbs and flows. Like there were
Yeah,
times when
up
it
and
was
down.
like tough struggle city, but again that like multi-generational support and foundation and like everyone in the family from like cousins, aunts, uncles, it's just we were always very held. So there was never a time that we would be completely without ever because we just like had
We
a
all
family.
helped each other.
And one thing that mommy always says to this day, and I believe it with my whole heart, and it has, I feel like it's served me. It's like you keep your hand open. Like you have that like you keep it open to receive and to give. Like don't feel like, oh, we have only this amount. It's like, okay, let's go somewhere nice for dinner.
Exactly.
Or
Because
let's
it'll come back.
it's an experience. And so versus like, oh, we're rationing and planning, like that's just not how we were raised. So again, blessing and a curse, but I feel like we really have been blessed.
Yeah.
And it's forced us to be like, I feel like charisma has taken me very far. Of course, I've worked hard and I've been disciplined in certain ways, but I've definitely talked my way out of some potentially catastrophic
And
situations
into
more
some
than
great,
once.
great
And into some
situations.
beautiful,
I've
thank
definitely
you.
been the personality hire. You too.
Yes.
Many times.
Yeah.
But back to the Blockbuster thing.
Oh yeah,
The
Fridays.
reason I said we didn't have money because we didn't have, I remember we didn't have cable. So we would go to Blockbuster and that's how, we stayed in tune with the culture.
It was
you could say.
negotiating like, okay, who's getting what movie, who's picking what, and then
Right.
there was always a mandatory foreign film, which we would
That we
like.
had to watch.
I feel like,
Fiddler on the Roof. Is that foreign film? I just remember watching that and being like, oh
what?
my
I
gosh.
like the songs, but I'm trying to think. There was one that was so, like some of them were so dark and so sad too.
Yeah.
I mean,
And long.
yeah. I mean,
War and Peace.
some were really beautiful, but it was a very like you're gonna sit and you're gonna watch this.
Schindler's List. Like
That was a
stuff
hard
like
one.
that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I'm 8 years old. I want to watch That's So Raven. Like, I want to watch something.
But by that
Fun.
point, like when I was in high school, I'd say maybe later high school, I feel like, well, Netflix had started to become a thing. But I feel like we did have cable at that point. 'Cause I
Yeah.
remember Bravo and
I
stuff
just,
like that.
we didn't have cable for like elementary.
was a period.
It wasn't forever. And I remember Bubba and Pa lived in the same apartment complex, so we would just watch TV at their house. And it was like,
All the Disney
Very
Channel movies
regular.
and, yeah.
yeah. But Blockbuster was definitely, And just living in Alexandria, like you said, going to museums every weekend, doing the free activities, like that's kind of how we got by. I didn't even realize that we were struggling until probably I got older.
And I
And I
got a
was like,
worker's
oh,
permit without even telling my mom. I think like 14 was the age or something. Like someone had mentioned something, so I just like walked into the office and got it. And I worked at an ice cream
where?
shop. At TC, there was like a little thing.
Oh,
So I got a
okay.
worker's permit at 14 and I worked at Sunday
Yeah,
Times.
I remember that. I
Sunday
remember that.
spelled like ice cream Sunday.
I remember
And I've
that.
always loved ice cream, but when I tell you, they had a peppermint, was it a
They had
peppermint
good ice
cream?
cream.
I liked every flavor except for rum raisin. I hated rum raisin.
Ew.
Disgusting. But like malted shakes, all that, like banana splits. But and then babysitting, of course. And then I worked at this store up against the wall. Real ones will know.
That's very 2000s. But you're
Yeah.
jumping the gun.
I'm jumping the gun.
Because
What
we have
are
to
we
start.
rambling and
So,
yammering
our
too much?
DMV, we lived in the DMV,
Yes.
and our experiences were somewhat different,
Yes.
but not crazy different. But like, we grew up on different sides of the city in Alexandria.
Right.
So, should we like name the towns? You
I was in
basically grew up in
Delray.
Delray, and I grew
Yeah.
up in, what was that
It was
town
like the
called?
West Side. They just called it the West Side. Is that?
Okay.
That's what I remember.
I don't remember what that town was
So there were
called.
two public middle schools, and it is very different because didn't you go to Hammond?
I went to Hammond.
I went to GW, so yeah, it was very different. Like it felt like, well, they were both, I guess, the suburbs technically, but Delray felt a little more like you're walking to school versus taking the bus. You could take the bus for sure, but it's like I would walk more, or
Yeah,
like
more of a
Al's
town.
Steakhouse. I
Oh my
miss Al. He was amazing,
gosh.
but like he would give us like discounted cheesesteaks, me and my friends, because we like couldn't afford, but we like loved the cheesesteaks, grape soda, great mott sticks. I love Al Steakhouse. It's still open, I
Still
think.
good. Yeah, still open.
But I feel like I remember like my first Red Bull, a bunch of us split one at a convenience store and like took a sip. I don't know if it
No,
was new
that's
or
like the culture throughout the whole town.
I guess, but it was one of those things where it's like, oh, we're walking, so like let's just go in and taste
Oh,
this
okay.
thing like before
But
school.
I also think that no, that's an Alexandria thing just walking around.
Oh.
But I feel like Del Rey had more of a downtown vibe.
And it was closer to Old Town, which
There's more
is
to
beautiful.
do.
Yeah. But I don't know if you want to
But
talk about
versus like my side of town was kind of like you're walking on a long street to someone's
or
house.
like Watergate. It's like if you lived at Watergate, it's like you can just hang out there and
Yeah, like
frolic.
hanging out in apartment complexes. But my school was very diverse. Foreign kids, black kids, sprinkled with white kids. That was my experience. So I didn't really have any white friends. I had foreign friends, and
GW
that
was
was my
more
life.
like black, white, Latino.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean,
It might be different now, but this is
it
back
was
then.
almost like the breakdown of like it was like, oh, there's the kids who like could go to the private schools, but they're choosing to go to the school, and then it was like public housing. Of course, there's an in between, but
Right.
I'd say mostly like middle class and non-white people were largely on the west side, and we ended up being on the west side when I got older too. But I don't know. I mean, just like being in honors classes, like we're used to being like I'm used to being the only black person in the room, or like one of few, or being. I guess this is where
This is
it's
where the
like,
difference comes in because
yeah,
I'm not. I'm
and
used to just seeing people like me.
And I guess maybe that's also, and it's just like how I am too. I think like being the oldest, being the this, being the, okay, Naomi, perform. Or like, oh, we have company, you have to sing. Or, oh, after church, giving a fake sermon to entertain the older, the like elders, older people, like my
Yeah.
mom and pop's friends and stuff. Like I was just kind of used to that. So I feel like Nia and I, like, I'm almost like the palatable version, not on purpose. It's just my default
Yeah, you had to be.
is like making everyone feel comfortable, whatever. But in my soul, it's like I'm not in the
You're
mood for any of
drained.
that. It's so draining. Like
You're
doing
drained.
that so much of my life, I'm at a point where like I've reached my limit. But that was what I was up to and what I was used to, and even where I decided to go to school, which Nia threw an acronym at me. I didn't
She
even
went to
know.
a PWI called American University. She didn't even know what
I
PWI
was like, "What are you
was.
talking about?"
I
But
didn't, but I went to Howard for a second. I dropped out.
for like 5 minutes. No,
Five.
you went for 2 year, 1 year, year and a half.
1 year, and I didn't go to any classes
Okay.
for the second semester, so a second. But
Very
I
different.
chose a HBCU because I love black people, and that we just have different.
I obviously love black
You love
people
black
too.
people
That's
too, but your
not.
experience is like different.
It
Like
was
I
very
couldn't
different.
even. I don't know how to sometimes move around. I'm just not used to being around white people. I don't know how else to say it. It's not that I don't like them. I'm just
Oh
not
my
used to
gosh.
it.
And I feel like I've been like browbeaten into like just getting used to it. So I am
Yeah.
very like comfortable. It's just
Like she said, I don't code switch,
yeah,
and I don't even know how.
right. And I guess I don't either, but again, my default is just I don't know.
Palatable. You're
Yeah, it's
just
funny. And I
palatable.
don't is
You
that
can
fair?
like you're like a chameleon almost. Like you can
I
be in any
guess.
room and talk to anybody, which is
That's fair.
cool. But I feel like
You
I'm a
can
little
too.
I can too, but I'm it's like what you see is what you get.
Oh, you're
So
saying
I
that's not
hope
how it
you're not uncomfortable. I know that I can be a little off-putting. Like I feel like Wednesday Adams.
you're not that off-putting, but
Not that, but like I love her.
like she doesn't care about making other people feel comfortable,
No,
which I
you
admire.
do. I
Absolutely.
don't think that you care. I think you just naturally do make people feel comfortable.
Thank you.
And Naomi, I mean, our mom is like that too. Very like people person.
Yes.
And
And
Noah is not really like
she's
that.
upped it over the years. Like I
She's
feel
upped
like
it.
I have fatigue and I feel like she is even more so like invite so and so.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like, whoa, can it just be
she's like
us? She's like, bring it, and it is a beautiful
that makes
thing.
sense, but she's like really turned into this what is it called? A
Mother
host.
Goose.
She's a
I don't
host.
know.
Hostess with the mostest.
She is, yeah, which is beautiful. Like I love it, but I'm like, I feel like I love to just be a recluse,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But that is a difference.
We're like different fonts.
We are, because you were always artsy, and I feel like I was very, I don't know.
So Naomi was the it girl. I don't know. I know you're not gonna say it, but she was an it girl, prom queen, class president in the 2000s.
Thank you for saying
Cute
that.
style, Facebook friends, like very that person.
Wow.
And that's who you were. And then
That
Noah
is who
was
it was.
like in the blog fashion Kanye Pharrell era, I
Yeah.
feel like.
He like for him it's like, oh, if you could choose your big gift, like if it was like, oh, iPad this, like no, it was like, I want a sewing machine.
Or
Like,
I want these cool sneakers or something. Something
yeah,
like that. And I feel like I'm just like a mixture of them too.
it's
But I'm
true.
also I'm like really YouTube era, like Tumblr vlogger in my room editing vibe.
Yeah,
And that's just our dynamic.
it
Take
is.
it or leave it. But
It is. But I guess, I mean, separately and together, anyone that either meets us or spends time with, like, okay, like you can hear about someone's family when you meet them, you're like, oh,
it all
like
makes
obviously
sense.
there are siblings who are very close and friends, but especially like our mother lives overseas and she has for many years. And so we're thankful, like, obviously we're able to visit her, all that. She comes here when she's able, but it is a little bit strange. Like we are very close to extended family or like, cousins, aunts, whatever who are here, but sibling wise with the three of us without having a home base, like a parent's home to just like run to if things get tough, or especially with like the pandemic and like so many
And
like life
things have
things
gotten tough.
where you're kind of like, what do I do? This
Yeah.
sucks. And it's like, well, of course, like you've had moments where like, I guess I'm going to Portugal. And it's like, that's not a
No,
bad place to
literally,
land.
it's not.
But like with me, it's like, I'm not giving up my apartment. I'll figure it out. Like,
And I think that's the thing. Like
that's the difference.
when you graduated high school, you went to college,
Yeah.
and then you went to New York,
Yes.
and you still could come back home to like the
Correct.
apartment,
Yeah.
whatever
To
apartment it
visit.
was. But when I graduated high school, I went to Howard, I dropped out, wasn't gonna last. And then mommy had left to go overseas. So I feel like once that happened, I was kind of just like free roaming.
Yeah, you were kind of bouncing around.
And it got messy.
London was a high point,
Was
Sacramento a low
it?
point. I just mean
A
maybe
lot had
location wise.
oh yeah, it was cool. Like I was just kind of bouncing though. I didn't like you said if we had a home base, I probably wouldn't have made a lot of the decisions, been in the spaces, been friends with like I probably wouldn't have,
Yeah.
done certain things. So it has affected us, but it's cool also.
Right. And like I'd say early in my career, I got lucky with some of the jobs. Like the first job I had in the city, at least a third of my friends in my adult life, like best friends, lifelong friends, I made there. So it was definitely hard, but we had a lot of fun and we learned a lot. And I'm just so thankful for that. But it was a very like, well, I need to hustle and like make this work because I don't really have a plan B. Well, none of us did, really.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, what do you mean?
timeline wise, like once mommy left the States.
Yeah, when she left, it was like,
Good luck.
it was kind of like good luck. But I remember mommy always being like, when I was 18, I was on my own. So I kind of always knew that was going to be the case.
Also have a mom and pop.
True. Or she had a bubble and pop.
Right.
Yeah,
I
true.
don't know, but it's true. I mean, it's true, but it's not. It's hard to.
I think people don't understand that yeah, I don't know. It's hard to relate. If your parents or whatever don't live overseas, you're not going to get it.
Or like being close to them too. It's also not like we're all estranged. Like we're very tight knit.
Right.
And I guess that bleeds into like our current, like how we handle friendships now too. But again, like I feel like there was a period when there was more friction with us.
Really?
Or just like I always felt like I was bothering you.
Well, maybe we should get into like high school, middle school for me.
For you, okay.
Because
feel
okay,
free.
she goes to
'Cause
college.
I was off, so I leave.
When we wrote
You were
this
like
down
8 or
somewhere.
9.
8 or 9, she's in college.
It's
but keep
2008.
in mind she's in DC.
2009.
So it's not that far.
Okay, so you're like 10.
Yeah. So it's
That was the other
Noah
thing. I was
and
very
I.
close to home, which was nice, but I lived on campus. But yeah, I was like 20, 30 minutes from home.
So it's Noah and I in the house with mommy. And I would say I realized or recognized mental health like 8th grade.
Whoa.
It's not going to get too dark, but I do remember 8th, ninth grade realizing like, am I depressed?
I mean, that's especially
So-
like puberty, all that.
Puberty,
Yeah.
technology, taking control, me probably being online too much. Also just like I've always been very aware. I remember, okay, we didn't say this either. Minnie Howard.
Oh,
So
right.
there's like a high school for 9th grade. I don't know if it's still a thing in Alexandria, but both sides meet in the middle.
The GW and Hammond come together, and it's 1 year, only 9th grade, before you go to TC Williams. But every now and then it's
Right.
like the extracurriculars and things like sometimes would be at the TC campus. But I
TC
wonder
is
now
now
what it is.
called Alexandria City Public School or
Right,
something.
right.
But it was TC Williams in the
Yes.
movie Remember the Titans.
Correct. Okay, sorry, continue.
But I remember getting to Minnie Howard and all of my friends kind of scattered. Like some of them went to the GW kids, and then my really close friends went with like all the super preppy. They were playing soccer. They were doing crew. Is that what it's called?
I rode.
Like just really preppy, like white kids, and I just was kind of like, oh, like I was like, wait, where do I go? I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
I was just not feeling it. I don't know what it was. And I remember I came home and mommy had bought me, do you remember Malala? The
Yes.
girl, she bought me that book. And I was like, I don't want to read this. Like, it's boring or something, which I don't feel that way now. But she was like, I'm taking you out of that school. Like, literally, I
Because you didn't want
remember,
to read that book.
because I didn't want to read that book. She's like, you know what? You're not happy in that school. You're not making friends. You don't like your classes. You don't want to read this book. I don't like I don't like it. I'm taking you out of that school. So then she
gosh.
puts me in like a private school. And yeah, just from then, I think, I don't know if it was my circumstance or the world or what it was, but I was struggling with my mental health. And I did try to say something, but back then it wasn't really like prioritized, I feel like, the way it is now.
Right.
So you feeling like you're bothering me was probably me literally being depressed.
That's so sad.
It's not though. Like we don't have to make it sad. It's just
No,
real.
you know what it is? The period that I was in school too, it was very like, I'm partying, I'm
Yeah.
this. Like, yeah, I would come home, but I would also, it'd be exciting to see you guys, but I would be excited to see like friends from home who were still there. Maybe that's part of it. But I feel like maybe I noticed it more when you were in Florida and I was like living on my own in New York. Like I feel like that's when I was tapping in,
friction?
trying to no, like maybe like I felt like I was like
Oh,
trying to get a
cheer me up.
hold on of you, or like, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do we do?
Yeah.
I felt helpless, but
So then we moved to Florida
yeah.
also. And by this point, Noah was in college.
And Noah was here.
So we moved to Florida. It was like all over the place. I went to that private school for 1 year, go back to TC because I didn't like it. And then midway through the year, our mom was like, let's move to Sweden. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, that sounds lit. I love Europe.
Yeah.
But then that didn't end up happening. We go to Florida because that's where our grandmother and our other family members are. And it was just random. I never liked Florida.
Yeah. I mean, and you were in the, what is it?
10th
West
grade.
Palm,
Oh,
whatever the area
West
is.
Palm Beach, South Florida.
Yeah. So it was like not the worst part, but
I remember we would visit Florida, and I literally always remember being like, "This, oh, I don't like this." It wasn't bad.
yeah.
It's just like, no, I didn't want that.
And it's tough. It's hard to compare it to Alexandria. We were saying, like, especially Old Town, everything. It's so, like, insert any all American, quintessential, nostalgic, like, happy, good town,
Hallmark
whatever,
town.
like, Lifetime movie looking town. Like, it was very that. So it's hard to compare
It's
at
hard to
that
compare.
age.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a period of time where I wasn't going to school. I was online schooling, but like not really. And I was very isolated for a long time, probably like months and months and months and months and months. So my mental health was down the tubes, basically. And I didn't know how to handle it. So that was a chunk.
Yeah.
That was a rough time. And I went to therapy. And I was on medication. We really wanted to get there.
Yes.
But now I'm super anti-meds.
Well, that's something.
That's like another episode.
Oh my gosh. I think people should do what they need to feel good and regulated.
I agree.
That's what I think, but we don't have to get into that right
Yeah, I
now.
think that's another episode because
Yeah.
I'm not like you shouldn't be on medication, but for me personally,
Yeah,
I
no.
think I realized it wasn't good for me.
My brief period on the year Baba died and like other things were going on in my life. 2018 was, I can say with confidence, the worst year of my life, period. No comparison. Dark, dark, dark. Dark and darker. Questionable, terrible, down.
Random.
But I was on medication, and I feel like the being on medication and the upping the dosage and this, like, it was giving me even more anxiety that I felt like whatever the positive effects are, I think are being outweighed by the spiral going on. So it ended up not being a fit for me.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's things we could explore again another time, even though we keep talking about it.
Okay, let's stop.
Okay.
Because it could get like then it gets into me being a stoner, and that's why I dropped the meds. But that's another episode.
Okay.
So back on track.
So where do we go now?
So
we
we went to Florida.
Yes. And again, at this point, I'm in New York because I came
York.
straight to New York. I had a job in DC. I won't go into the specifics right now. Maybe another time we could talk about that. But then I was living with one of our cousins in the city for a couple months before I got my job, and then moved in with friends from school and stuff. So I've been in the city living on my own as an adult since
for a long
2013.
time.
12 years now.
That's a long time.
And every time I've thought like, oh, like I toyed with LA, I was thinking about DC even in
wanted
2020
LA.
before the pandemic happened. Sorry to even bring that into the space, but I was like, oh, maybe it's time to get back to DC. Like I've been like thinking of other things, and I'm like, what am I running from? I'm happy.
In New York.
New York is home. Whether I like it or not, like I think it'd be hard for me to, I would go somewhere else for like a love, or like my girlfriend and I talk about like upstate at some point, whether that turns into like a future home base or like a secondary place, amazing, but nothing compares to the city.
City
To me,
girl.
I'm a city girl. I'm a city girl.
Some people are so New York. You're just so New York. You and Noah.
I've gotten better in terms of like my patience level, because obviously like that, I've struggled there in the past, but it is tough when you're like, what do you mean I can't just get a bagel, or
Right.
there's not a good slice? And you like, I want to grab a slice. I don't want to sit and have some weird soggy pie. Like I want to be able to just like walk and get a snack I feel like snacking is just so important to me, and walkability is important. So if I can't just like
You're
get
gonna be
something
mad.
delicious at a moment's notice, it's upsetting.
Yeah,
So anyway,
I
wow.
feel that.
Okay.
So
Look, I
where do we
can't.
go from here? This is our first
It
episode, so
is.
bear with
I
us.
know, but I feel like we
We're
touched on
just
some
touching on the lore,
substantive things to give people a foundation of kind of where we're coming
where we're
from.
coming from.
And what I want to say, I'll give you a lot of credit, Nini, because I'd say TikTok, the clock app, if you will. I am not comfortable with it. It confuses me, it overwhelms me. But in that month and a half period or month period where certain people weren't on it because they accidentally deleted it during that weird whatever, but I say like our inbox brings me so much joy. It's so silly. The algorithm is perfect. I have a mix of food talk and just like silliness, foolishness. But I feel like Nia is the reason because there was a period where like she would send things and I'm like, oh, I can't see this. I need to download the app. And she was like, just download it.
Oh yeah, I got you on it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's fine because it's
I
like,
hate TikTok.
it's so, but you sent me so many
I'm
videos.
on TikTok so much, but I wish I never was. You know that feeling? It's like
Instagram is definitely
addiction.
my
Your thing?
app of choice,
Really?
but TikTok makes me laugh the most. I love
I
my
mean,
algorithm.
okay, no, I love TikToks, but I hate how much I'm on it because it
That's
doesn't
fair.
do anything for me.
But I feel like we have so many like thoughts or like tapping into so many things, and it's like, okay, maybe getting microphones should be harder, right? Like how many podcasts are there? But I'm happy to take some of my thoughts to the
To the mic,
streets. Yeah, to the
to the
mic.
streets.
Because I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah,
There hopefully is something interesting, at least one thing that interests you that we've said.
right. If you guys have any suggestions, let us know.
Feel free to give only positive feedback. And if it's negative, keep it to yourself, or you can privately find a way to notify us.
DM, personal. But
Any burning questions, feel free to send. We did blast that out to our respective followings. Mine is like 5 people compared to Nia's way more than that. But do you want to do your
we
question
did get
first or
some
mine?
questions.
We picked our favorite from
Let's do
what we
yours
got.
first.
Okay.
Viewer questions.
Yes. So this is my favorite question. Shout out. I'm not gonna dox anyone. I will not be naming. I guess we haven't named names except for we didn't even
Yeah,
name
we're
mommy.
just gonna keep our family names.
We'll keep it vague, I guess. But this is a friend that said, "What's the youngest thing about Nay and the oldest thing about Nia?" So, youngest thing about me, what came to mind immediately was like my snacking habits. I joke, I'm like, I have the stomach of a 17-year-old boy. Like, I feel like I'm always craving Little Debbie's Cosmic Brownie still. When Dunkaroos came back, like, I was
Lunchables.
getting anonymous shipments of it and upset because, like, the crackers really do taste like dust. It's not what I remember. And I feel like the quality did go down. But
It was always
Lunchables,
down.
I'll like if it's like, oh, I have real food and I actually like to cook and all of that, but it's like, yeah, I will grab a Lunchables and just inhale it on my walk home. Like I love snacks that are fit for children or like shouldn't even be made anymore because who knows what chemicals are on that turkey meat, but it's so good.
Literally.
Like I love knowing what I'm getting when I take a bite. I'm like, this tastes like childhood nostalgia, safety,
Do you think that's what it
happiness.
is? The
Yes,
nostalgia?
it's like I'm like, ooh, this is like a warm hug. It's like a TBT bite. Like I'm happy.
She doesn't really have diet. I mean, I think you do have dietary restrictions, but she doesn't follow them. Like this morning, she asked me if I wanted yogurt, and I knew it was gonna be dairy. I don't like dairy yogurt. Who still eats regular yogurt?
Okay, so I love dairy and I think it's good for you.
Sour cream.
Cheese is obviously.
I like cheese. I'm into cheese though. My bad. The camera cut off. We are just girls. We're
Okay.
doing the production, everything. So if it's a little wonky and the angle's different, my bad.
Okay, also, we have to confess, neither of us can see at all without our glasses. I'm
Yeah, I
squinting
can't
so
see.
bad right now. But
Also for those listening,
oh yeah,
we took a break.
we are going to be on YouTube as well if you're listening.
go watch the visual.
Run the views up, please.
We're not hard on the eyes.
Okay. Well, but to be fair, I do like listening to pods while
Same.
I am like doing random things. Anyway, okay, so the camera died when I was talking about dairy
Right.
and how you, for whatever reason, have an aversion.
Well, I think most people do. Like, you're not really supposed to consume.
No, it
It's
says that. My
bad
brother,
for
he's
your
like, oh,
stomach.
you're not supposed to break
I
down dairy.
watched that on a one of those healthy food documentaries.
Which I refuse to watch. I've never watched any of
You
them.
should.
No, because then I'll have all these feelings tied to what
But it's
I'm
not even just a
consuming.
feeling. Like, my stomach is very sensitive. I don't like dairy. I don't like soda. It's not that I don't like it. I can't handle it. So it's not worth it.
I'd say, yeah. So anyway, in conclusion, my youngest thing about me is like the way that I eat, left
Eats
to my
like
own
a
devices.
kid.
Like is it My 500-Pound Life? Some show where like the woman with the Brussels sprout, she's shaking and like gagging, and like I love vegetables, but it's a very like if I need to have something green, it's gonna need to be natural. Like I'm not gonna plan for a salad on my own accord.
Interesting.
I'll throw in a cornichon. I'll like, get
Weird.
down with a little bit of arugula if I must, but it probably will wilt. But it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy it, but will it be a part of what I'm
Eating.
making? Anyway, so I'd say that's the youngest thing about me,
Okay.
and I'm not proud of it, but it is my truth.
If you're healthy, it doesn't matter.
It's within
Because she
reason.
still eats pretty healthy.
Yeah, but like I always need something sweet. I always need like a 90s 2000s snack of some sort at some point in my life. It's just like necessary. Keeps me grounded. Okay,
Period.
so what's the oldest thing about you?
So the oldest thing about me is I forgot. Hold on. What is it? You tell me. Didn't you tell me?
No, I was trying to think of it.
Oh, I
and you
remember.
like,
The
can't do
oldest
it.
thing about me is the fact that I need and crave quiet, peace and quiet.
Oh, right, that's
So
what
I
it was.
don't like loud. I get very overstimulated, and when I lived in New York, I honestly hated it. Like I don't know. New York is just not for me. I see the appeal, but it's very loud. There are too many lights. There are too many people. There are too many smells. I don't like that type of
Smells
thing.
are
Like when it comes to that, I'm a suburban girl. Like I like I want a nice big home with a big yard and peace and quiet. I literally last weekend told this restaurant to turn down their music
which is insane.
because it was too loud. I can't even hear my friend.
That's so interesting.
Last night I told Naomi to turn down the music.
We're mid conversation. I have like really beautiful, perfect background music on. It wasn't even very loud. And she's like, can you turn that off? I'm just like,
But I also love loud music sometimes. It's just like a time and
you
place
literally
thing for
DJ
me.
sometimes.
Yeah,
I forgot
like
to actually throw that
but
in.
I also think that's kind of I used to party a lot and I just feel like now I'm over it. I don't want to hear anything too loud.
Okay,
And I don't want to be around too many people.
that's fair.
I like clean, peace, and quiet. That's very
Whereas
old.
I respect that for sure. And it does make sense. And it is very like,
That's very mommy too.
yes, she would be like, and again, me, like, I'm almost like, if I don't see people, like, I get anxious. That's part of why I love the city. And even like living in Brooklyn now, I lived in Alphabet City for 8 years, then moved to Brooklyn, and it was very like, of course, there's people around, but like,
Different.
I need to have action. I need to hear the sounds. I feel safer in an apartment building. Like friends of mine growing up, like sleepovers and stuff, I used to freak out over like the multiple entrances scared me. And I've been watching like Dateline and like Lifetime movies and stuff from a young age. So I feel like I was always like Wendy Williams, like the
Paranoid.
killer, like what will happen?
Yeah.
Which is of course, maybe something to explore at some point, but I like being around people, but at the same time, yeah, like to have that space
I
and
think that's
escape.
literally an older thing because as you get older, you're probably going to want the same peace and quiet, even if you have a second home.
And to be fair, like it was Easter recently, and not to fully date this, but and my girlfriend and I were in the city like a lot of the day. There's like Easter parade in Midtown, then we're in Chinatown, and it was that was overstimulating for me. And I was like, get me back to Brooklyn where I can take a breath and like there's space on the sidewalks for people to not be actually like body checking each
Cramped.
other.
Just like Ugh.
So there are levels, because even like a normal insert Brooklyn neighborhood sidewalk is busier than most suburbs, I guess. But
Yeah.
it feels like, to me, that's like a healthy
A
progression
healthy.
from the anyway, the busiest part.
I also think though, living in New York, you have to like reset your brain. Like when I was in Portugal for 3 months, I reset my brain and I was like, okay, I can live like this. But if I didn't
You
go
were
to
thriving.
Portugal, I would have came back to New York because it's like an addictive thing. I was talking about this with my friend, and this could be another episode too, but like this feels like the whole world when you're here. And when you leave, then you realize, oh, okay, I don't have to live like that.
But again, I do think this is a different version.
What do you mean?
Like Brooklyn is New York,
Oh,
like
Brooklyn?
italicized maybe, not bold.
Yeah, I lived in Brooklyn when I was here though.
What did
It's
you
still
think?
New York. Like
It
New York is
is.
New York. You
It
still hear
is.
the booms, the sounds,
It is
everyone's in your
still loud.
business. Like it's just crazy.
Maybe it's like the lack of tourists. That
Oh,
feels
in
better.
Brooklyn.
Like that energy of
No,
like you
I
don't know
love
where you're going and you're just blocking the sidewalk in a way that actually it's like
I
road
actually love
rage, but
Brooklyn,
like
yeah.
walking.
Yeah.
So maybe and that's just
Brooklyn
something again
is
separate.
the better if you want more peace, yeah,
But it
move
is
to Brooklyn
still loud
or
and
uptown.
busy.
Yeah. New York is New York. Not for me. Anyway,
Wow.
um
Oh, okay, your question.
so my question
Or your
for
the question she
my
selected.
follower, the lucky question was what TV shows from your childhood inspire your style?
Oh, right. Okay, you okay, I go
So I'll go
first.
first. I would say That's So Raven, obviously. She was an icon, a fashion icon. Like, do you remember when she had that internship at the fashion Lana Debana or
Oh
something? I
my
forgot what it's
god.
called. But Raven Simone, maybe I should just say Raven Simone because
Yeah,
Cheetah Girls, she
that's
was a
true.
fashion icon. And I'm happy for her now. I think she's doing good. Anyway,
I am too. I have some thoughts about.
I think she's killing it. Like,
I think she
whatever.
is, but it'd be nice to just
Oh,
see her on her
oh.
own sometimes, I guess
She
is
is
what I'll
killing
say.
it. Her
That's what I'll say.
girlfriend,
I think it's her wife.
girl, step back.
I think it's her
We're
wife.
tired of seeing you. You don't give.
Anyway, sorry, let's keep it positive.
Anyway, happy for her.
Yes.
But she was definitely my style icon. I don't know who else, what other show did I watch?
I mean, I'm trying to think like for me, Sister Sister for sure, Tia and Tamara. Talk about representation. I
That was
love
very
the way they dressed.
90s.
Yes. And like the perm hair, like
The
yes.
hats with the matching.
Everything. So that and what I'm just trying to think of like the shows that I watched.
Lizzie McGuire,
Oh yeah, because that was a limited two era. Definitely
Degrassi,
not as much.
Manny.
Yes, but like I
Remember the
wasn't like
thong
allowed to dress
scene?
like Manny.
Oh,
But okay, you want to talk about I don't know when this I could like ramble forever, but that was the era of like, okay, I have a shirt, like mommy approved shirt that I'm wearing
oh yeah.
because you have
And
to
then
set your clothes out by the door the night before. Like I guess it just helped the mornings be less chaotic. I don't know. But I like had these pants out, but then I had this skirt that I gotten in Brazil, like when I was, I don't know, 7 or something. And it was definitely too short. And I always had longer arms. So I was always getting in trouble for like the length of skirts, shorts, whatever. But this specific skirt where I think, I don't know if like an administrator had said something to mommy or if she recognized like this isn't something you wear to school, maybe if we go out or. So I had hidden the skirt like under a coffee table book or something, like thinking I would be slick and just like bring it in my backpack. I don't know what I was thinking, but she caught me. It was
you're
so
trying to
embarrassing. She's like, "You're
switch
not
at school?
allowed to." I was like, she just like caught me before we left the house. She was like, "No."
Oh,
Like I think she had like found it obviously when I was already asleep. It was so
yikes.
embarrassing. It's like, what did I think I was gonna get away with, and why was I trying to dress like that in like fifth grade?
That's how it was though. You
But it
trying to
was,
flex.
but I think it was like that was the whole like, oh, you're sneaking, like
Yeah.
or the thong, like the one thong and the lockers, and then you lift it. Like I
What?
snuck one at like Forever 21, and that was another store where it's
Oh.
like you're not allowed to shop here. And
Rest
like
in peace.
my older cousin, our older cousin, who lives nearby with my beautiful goddaughters, shout out. But like if it was Christmas or something, it's like, okay, we can get something for her there, but no, you're not allowed to get clothes from there because it was too grown.
Too risky.
Anyway,
Disney
wait,
Channel.
so I said sister, sister, what? Oh, Lizzie McGuire, yeah, I guess.
I feel like
What else?
shows.
There was so much. I mean, The Hills maybe. And
Oh yeah.
for me, I almost feel like music videos, like TRL and 106 in Park, for me, like I was
Yeah.
always watching what like Free
Morning
was wearing,
shows.
what like the pop girlies and video girls were wearing, which again, maybe not always school appropriate, but like Ashanti in her wholesome era, like
Beyonce, she had a
yeah,
moment. Aaliyah,
I feel like
or
her
was that
style
too
was always like when her mom was styling her, she
questionable?
was always wearing those tights that you could see. I feel like there was an era of that. Like House of Darion, the store that I worked at up against the wall carried House of Darion. And I want to say it didn't sell that well.
I don't remember it,
It
but
was,
I was a
or I
kid.
remember it going on sale. Like I remember
Oh,
that. But that was
yikes.
like the Shutter Shade days. Like that was when like PRPS for guys, antique denim, True Religion for sure. Um, Seven jeans, Joe's jeans, and then like obviously graphic tees like Married to the Mob and like
Old.
I had a shirt that said "Real women do real things," and it's literally like a Farrah Fawcett type person like pointing a gun.
Oh, I remember that
And I think I
shirt.
like wore it to school once, and again, it's like you can't wear that kind of thing to school.
Oh my
Anyway, I don't know.
gosh.
I made some choices.
Fashion. That should be an episode. Fashion
Fashion
faux
risks
pas.
and I have many stories. Yikes! I'm sure you do too, because you had that Rihanna
I had the.
cut,
I had a Rihanna short auntie
like
cut for
pixie,
years. That took me through high
and you even
school
had a
and
piece
middle
at one
school.
point.
That is like so weird. Shocking, to say the least.
We had some eras.
Yikes.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
um, this episode was sponsored by absolutely nobody. If anybody wants to sponsor us, we're open. Shoot us an email.
Yeah, we're wide
It'll be in
open.
the bio. And we like all types of things, beauty, drinks, anything, pretty much.
Snacks, although I probably won't be chomping on the mic.
Yeah, maybe not, but we'll shout it out
For
for
sure.
sure.
For sure.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yes, we're excited.
Really excited.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fabulous.
We're just sisters. And we're going to have many guests, so
Yeah, I guess until next time. Ciao,
see you
ciao.
guys. Ciao.
Is waving so weird? That's weird, right?
To wave.
How do people sign off?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
They
I
do
hate
stuff
saying
like that.
guys.
Let's just say
Bye,
ciao.
guys. Bye, guys. Well, are we
Ate
leaving this
logo.
in? Okay. Duolingo.
Since you're trying to be
Wait, what was the other thing that people used to do?
to say
Not
bye.
Duolingo. There was another thing that people used.
I don't know.
It was called like, oh my gosh. It's
I
gonna
know
drive me crazy.
Duolingo.
No, the one that was more popular.
I don't know.
What's it called? You know what I'm talking about? Older people?
No.
Yes.
Oh, them. If you're old and you know.
No, it was like the thing.
No, wait, I don't
How you
know.
would learn languages before. It was, I don't know. It's gonna drive me crazy. But anyway, ciao.
So should we do it again?
No, I think that's
That's it?
We just
Okay,
say
bye,
goodbye.
guys. Go follow
Say
us.
goodbye for a million
Everything in the
years.
bio.
Yes.